Welcome to the Well-Read Monocle. Today, we are undertaking a comprehensive examination of Memories of Ice, the third and widely celebrated installment in Stephen Erikson's Malazan Book of the Fallen. This novel is vast in its scope, returning our focus to the continent of Genabakis and picking up the threads left dangling after the events of Gardens of the Moon. In this video, we will break down the narrative in full detail. We will cover the ancient origins of the conflict, the political maneuverings, the horrific sieges, and the profound sacrifices that define this chapter of the Malazan mythos. Settle in, adjust your monocle, and let us explore the complete story of Memories of Ice. The Ancient Past and the Prologue. The narrative begins not in the present, but hundreds of thousands of years in the past. We witness the ancient genocidal wars between the undead Imas and the Jaghut. During a devastating confrontation, a group of desperate mages known as the Thaumaturgs reach out into the void to pull an alien deity down to their world to use as a weapon. This catastrophic event shatters the alien god, raining his broken pieces onto the planet. This entity becomes known as the Crippled God, a being of immense pain and spite, who begins slowly poisoning the warrens of magic and the sleeping earth goddess Burn. We also see a young Jaghut brother and sister cast into an eternal rent in the earth to spare them from the slaughter of the Imas. The brothers' centuries of isolation and festering hatred in this fissure will eventually birth the novel's primary antagonist, the Pannion Seer. The forging of the alliance. Returning to the present day on Genabakis, the geopolitical landscape has shifted drastically. The Malazan forces, commanded by High Fist Dujek One-Arm and his second-in-command, Whiskeyjack, have been officially declared outlaws by Empress Lysine. However, this outlaw status is largely a ruse, allowing the Malazans to ally with their former enemies, the warlord Caladan Brood, the Tiste Andi leader Anomander Rake, and the ruling council of Darujistan. This unprecedented alliance is formed out of absolute necessity. A fanatical empire known as the Pannion Domin is expanding rapidly from the south. Led by the Pannion Seer, this empire employs a terrifying military strategy. They starve the conquered populaces, turning them into a rabid, cannibalistic horde known as the Teneskovri. Understanding that the Domin threatens the entire continent, the Allied army begins a tense and gruelling march to confront them. Silverfox, the Maibi, and the Imas. Within the Allied camp, a unique situation develops around a child named Silverfox. She is a rapidly maturing girl who shares her body with the reincarnated souls of the sorceress Tattersail, the mage Belurden, and the elder god Nightchill. Crucially, Silverfox is the new summoner for the Imas. Her unnaturally fast growth, however, comes at a terrible cost. It drains the life force of her mother, the Maibi. The Maibi ages decades in a matter of weeks, feeling abandoned and terrified of death. Her suffering draws the attention of the elder god Karul, who is trying to heal the poisoned warrens. Karul compassionate weaves the Maibi's dreamscape into a brand new warren, providing a sanctuary not just for her, but eventually for the animal spirits of the world. When the Imas finally gather before Silverfox, they beg her to release them from their ancient ritual of undeath, as their war against the Jaghut is essentially over. Silverfox, viewing them as her only reliable army against the Pannion Domin, refuses. This creates a deep rift and highlights the ethical compromises made in the name of war. The journey of Tok the Younger. Parallel to the main army's march, we follow Tok the Younger, a Malazan scout who was thrown into a chaotic warren in the first book. He emerges back into the physical world, stripped of an eye, and finds himself traveling with an eccentric group. The ancient Imas warrior tool, 3 peerless Segule swordsmen, and the incredibly powerful Lady Envy. Tok eventually separates from them to infiltrate the Pannion Domin, seeking intelligence. Unfortunately, he is captured and subjected to unimaginable torture by the Pannion Seer. The Seer utilizes the physical form of the crippled scout as an anchor to project his madness. During this horrific ordeal, the ancient, wandering wolf god, Tog, finds Tok and possesses his broken body, sharing his agony, but also ensuring his survival until the final confrontation. The Siege of Capustan. The first major engagement of the war takes place at Capustan, an independent city that lies in the path of the Pannion Domin. Capustan is defended primarily by the Grey Swords, a mercenary company dedicated to Fener, the god of war. The siege is one of the most brutal and harrowing sequences in the series. The Tenniskovri wash over the city walls like a tide of starving locusts. The leaders of the Grey Swords, the mortal sword Brucalion and the destriant Carnadas, are both killed in the defense. Amidst the slaughter, a caravan guard named Gruntle finds himself trapped in a tenement building. Driven to a berserker rage to protect the innocent, Gruntle fights non-stop for days, effectively becoming the new mortal sword of the ascendant Treach, ascending to godhood. Equally central to Capustan is Itkovian, the shield anvil of the Grey Swords. A shield anvil's holy duty is to take the grief and pain of the dying into his own soul, offering them peace. Despite the staggering casualties, Itkovian refuses to abandon his duty, absorbing the trauma of thousands of fallen soldiers and citizens, anchoring the novel's core theme of boundless compassion. Ganos Paran and the Deck of Dragons. Meanwhile, Ganos Paran struggles with his ascension as the master of the Deck of Dragons. No longer just a Malazan captain, Paran has the authority to sanction or deny the entry of new gods and warrens into the pantheon. Paran learns that the Crippled God is the true mastermind behind the Pannion Seer, using the Seer to spread his poisoned, chaotic magic. Paran must learn to assert his authority over the deck, bargaining with gods and ascendants to construct a strategy that will not just defeat the Seer, but mitigate the damage the Crippled God is doing to the earth itself. The climax. The Battle of Coral. The Allied army pushes toward Coral, the capital of the Pannion Domin. Dujek and Whiskeyjack, distrusting their allies and wanting to end the war quickly, make a bold move. They push the Malazan forces ahead, infiltrating Coral before Brood or Rake can arrive. The urban warfare inside Coral is an absolute bloodbath. The bridge burners find themselves fighting not just the Tenniskovri, but the Kachain Chemal, an undead reptilian race of ancient beings equipped with massive swords instead of forearms. The Malazans take heavy losses, engaging in desperate street-by-street combat. Betrayal and tragedy. As the battle rages, a catastrophic betrayal unfolds outside the city. Cala, a bitter and ancient High King traveling with the Alliance, has secretly aligned himself with the Crippled God. He turns on the Allied commanders. Whiskeyjack, the beloved commander of the bridge burners, intercepts Cala in a duel. Whiskeyjack is a superior swordsman, and he gains the upper hand. However, throughout the novel, it was established that Whiskeyjack had a poorly healed leg injury that he stubbornly refused to have magically treated. Tragically, in the crucial moment of the duel, his leg buckles. Cala strikes him down, killing him instantly. Whiskeyjack's death is a devastating blow. His passing breaks the hearts of the Malazan soldiers and shatters his Tista Andi lover, Corlat, marking one of the most poignant tragedies of the entire series, the fall of the Domin. The battle turns completely when Anomander Rake makes his move. His massive floating mountain fortress, Moon's Spawn, has been hiding submerged in the ocean off the coast of Coral. Rake violently erupts the fortress from the sea, crashing it down directly onto the Pannion forces in the city. This catastrophic display of power shatters the Pannion Domin's defenses. With the city taken, the Allied leaders confront the Pannion Seer. He is finally defeated, but the master of the deck, Ganos Paran, intervenes. Paran recognizes that the Seer is a victim, a Jaghut child driven mad by ancient trauma and manipulated by the Crippled God. Paran refuses to execute him. Instead, he places the Seer within the new warren created by Karul inside the Mhaibi's dreams. There, the Seer's innate Jaghut ice magic is utilized to cool and soothe the fever of the sleeping earth goddess, slowing the Crippled God's poison. Itkovian's final act. In the aftermath of the battle, Itkovian performs an act of unimaginable empathy. The Talan Imas, having been denied release by Silverfox, stand gathered outside the city, burdened by hundreds of thousands of years of slaughter, loss, and emptiness. Itkovian approaches the undead host. Stepping far beyond the purview of any mortal priest, he opens his soul to the entire Imas army. He absorbs the collective grief of a race that has suffered for millennia. The sheer, crushing weight of this psychic burden kills Itkovian, but his sacrifice grants the ancient warriors their first moment of true peace since the dawn of their existence. It is a stunning testament to his belief that compassion must be given freely, and that it is priceless. Memories of Ice concludes in the quiet aftermath of unimaginable violence. The Pannion Domin is eradicated. The bridge burners, having suffered horrific casualties, are officially retired by Empress Lacine, allowed to quietly open a tavern in Darujistan to live out their remaining days in peace. The novel is a masterclass in epic fantasy. It juxtaposes the horrifying brutality of war, embodied by the cannibalistic Tenescovri and the machinations of cruel gods, with profound acts of personal sacrifice, mercy, and compassion. Itkovian, Whiskeyjack, and the Mibi remind us that even in a world tearing itself apart, the choice to protect and empathize with others is the highest virtue. Thank you for watching this complete summary of Memories of Ice. If you found this detailed breakdown helpful, please leave a like, subscribe to the Well-Read Monocle, and share your thoughts on the fall of the Pannion Domin in the comments below. Until next time, keep your reading list full and your monocle polished.